Okay, as will sometimes happen, I had a little glitch, and so I'm actually restarting, so that's why you will see things already written down. So we're in lesson 9.4, and we're going to be multiplying special cases. So what we're going to be looking at here is multiplying binomials that are being squared. So it's going to be in the form of a plus b squared or a minus b squared. If we draw this out, it would look like a plus b times a plus b or a minus b times a minus b. Now these always follow the same format when we solve for them. So the way it's going to look is, when I have a plus b squared, it's always going to be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And if it's a minus b squared, it will be a squared minus 2 times ab plus b squared. So the only difference here is this sign here that follows whatever sign is here. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at our first problem. I'll move this up so that we can see the first problem. And what we have here is t squared. This would be our a, this would be our b. So t squared, and then 2 times 1t is 2t, times 6 is 12t, and then we've got 6 squared, which is 36. So t squared plus 12t plus 36. Okay, let's look at our second problem. Okay, so here we've got 5y plus 1 squared. Okay, so here we've got 5y squared is 25y squared. Okay, plus 2 times 5y, which is 10y, times 1, it's still 10y. Okay, positive, positive. And 1 squared is 1. Okay, moving up again, we have 7m minus 2p, and this is squared. Now note here we have 2 different variables. Doesn't affect us, we just do it the same way. 7m squared is 49m squared. Okay, then 2 times 7m is 14m, times 2 is 28, so we've got negative 28m p. Okay, both variables are included in that. And then plus, and 2p squared is 4p squared. And then finally, our last one, this is 9c minus 8 squared, while 9c squared is 81c squared. This is subtraction, so here's my subtraction sign. 2 times 9c is 18c times the 8, which gives us the 144c, and then 8 squared is 64. And this is called squaring a binomial, okay? And it follows the same pattern. Now remember, if you can't remember the pattern, think about the fact that all you're doing is you can FOIL this if you need to. You can stack it. You can solve it any way you want. This just makes it faster and easier. Okay? So then we are moving on to the difference of squares. And what we're talking about here is a plus b times a minus b. Okay? So, when we do this, this is going to equal a squared minus b squared. And it's always going to follow this same format. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to FOIL it so that you can see why. Okay, so first, a times a is a squared. Okay, and then a, first outside, a times a negative b is negative ab. And then inside, positive b times a, putting it in the proper order, it's positive ab, and then positive b times a negative b is negative b squared. What I want you to see is this right in the middle, where we're combining a negative ab and a positive ab. Those cancel out completely, and we are left with a squared minus b squared. And all of our problems are going to look like that. So let's go ahead and do a couple of problems with the difference of squares. We've got d plus 11 times d minus 11, okay? And if you understand what we are doing, you're going to realize that it's d squared minus 121, and we're done, okay? It's that simple. C squared plus 8 times c squared minus 8 equals, okay, so c squared times c squared is going to be c to the 4th minus 64. Just no middle term. Let's do one more. It doesn't matter how big these get. We can still do this. 9v cubed plus w to the 4th times 9v cubed minus w to the 4th. And what this is going to equal, so 9 times 9 is 81, and then v cubed times v cubed is v to the 6th minus w to the 8th. So 81v6 minus w to the 8th. So really, if you can remember this one, also extremely simple. Now, with both squaring the binomial and finding the differences of the squares, there is also a mental math aspect of this that I want us to kind of take a look at. So when we're squaring binomials, we can look at problems such as 31 squared. 31 squared is the same as saying 30 plus 1 squared. So now I'm looking at squaring a binomial. Okay, so we know that that's going to be 30 squared is going to be 900. Okay, plus 2 times a, which is 60, times b here is 60. So plus 60 plus 1 squared, and so your answer is 961. Okay, you can do this with any of these squares. Let's do 98 squared. 98 squared, which is the same as saying 90, well, yeah, we could say, let's go with 100 minus 2 squared. Okay, 100 minus 2 is 98. So 100 squared, well, now you just got to make sure that you've got the 4 zeros. So that's going to be 10,000. Okay, so 2 times a, 200, times 2, 400. So minus 400 plus 4, because that's 2 squared. So 10,000 minus 400. Unfortunately, my mind doesn't work all that quickly. That's going to be 9,604. So 9604. Okay, so you'll have some problems on that to do tomorrow. And if we're going to use mental math with the differences of squares, okay, let's look at 18 times 22. So at 18 times 22, oops, that's 20. I have my little guy trying to watch over me. I'm watching you, but he's not watching very well. Okay, 18 times 22 is the same as saying 20 minus 2 times 20 plus 2, which is equal to 400 minus 4, which is equal to 396. Okay, so that seems easy enough. Let's try another one. 59 and 61. So 59 times 61 is equal to 60 minus 1 and 60 plus 1. So 60 times 60 is 3,600. And minus 1 is equal to 3,599. Okay, so I think that gives you a really good idea of how we can use these pretty easily. Tomorrow we'll be doing some problems with this. We'll have a little bit more geometry work that we will do, and we'll have our little guy watching over us the whole time. And until tomorrow, bye-bye.